hit the right note for the evening to begin with.
Well, yeah, it's not about me at all at this point, Smriti ji. And as Union Minister, many people must have said many things to you for the position that you hold today and the journey that you've had. Today, in front of this audience, I actually want to dwell on the journey from where it began and to today, when you're an inspiration to many that they can probably achieve, because many a times ordinary people from ordinary families don't quite make it to where you have. So Smriti ji, I really want to begin with what was your life as a young person? What were the trials, tribulations, and how did it all begin, this whole journey of the making of Smriti Zubin Irani?
I think, and pardon my bad throat, most of the individuals who are honored this evening, none of them have a pedigreed background, at least those that I know of. And this celebration in itself is indicative that all of us, in some way or the other, began our journeys either with a challenge or with an aspiration which was overwhelmingly ambitious for the surroundings that we were a part of. So when you ask me to reflect, there's no better place to have that reflection than this iconic hotel where my mother used to be a housekeeper.
Oh my.
So my mother was a housekeeper here, and one of the best meals we would have is if the chef at Marshan, after her night shift, and we had to catch school at 8 o'clock, so she would be back home at 7 in the morning, and with barely any time to make lunch, especially pack anything for school tiffin. The chef at Machan would be kind enough to give her some remnants of the club sandwich with the pick on it, wrap it, and say, hurry along, you have 3 daughters and there's barely any time. That used to be one of the most celebrated tiffins at school, because who gets a tiffin from Taj? And I think that life comes full circle when my first house as a member of parliament was right across the road from this hotel. And I called my mum and I said, guess what I'm looking at? She said, what? I said, I'm looking at the Taj. And I said, guess where we are going for lunch? She said, where? I said, Machan, and I'll order the club sandwich this time and we'll pay for it. So I think for circumstances like that, to be ambitious, I remember I was 7 years old. We were moving homes. More honestly, we were being thrown out of a house in Gurgaon, which is now Old Gurgaon. And I remember, it sounds almost like a movie scene, standing outside that house at the age of 7 and telling my mom that, one day I'll buy this place. And she gave me a nice little whack on the back of my head, possibly telling herself that this is an overambitious girl who needs to be set right, because you are not supposed to aspire for certain aspects of life which are supposedly beyond your reach. And I remember I went back to that same house after I had done a few television series, and went back with my husband, and I looked at that house, and my husband said, want to buy it? And I said something to him which I'll never forget. I said, nobody buys their miseries. So I can afford it, but I won't buy it. So I think that my life is a bit disjointed when it comes to experiences. This evening I came and sat next to an icon from the ad world. And I remember, if you look at my career in the 1999 era to 2000, there have been numerous numbers of experiences where I was chucked out of that very ad agency saying, you're not a good enough actor. And now I sit right next to him. So I think life is to be taken with a pinch of salt. Life is to be taken with this deep sense of gratitude. That a rejection today genuinely may mean better times to come. If you do not live life with that belief, it breaks you very early.
Smriti ji, I can't say this with more emotion and feeling, but I do have goosebumps when you relate this story. But rejection probably happens to many. Many people go through their miseries. How many of them end up becoming a Smriti Zubin Irani? What kept you going? What egged you on? And how does one really make up one's mind and go out and get it? Because many people would want to learn from you. What is it that really makes the flame burn within for you to reach out and try and pluck the stars?
I think I never wanted to be poor again. That's the biggest driver. That is a chip on your shoulder that stays forever, no matter how much you achieve. You can stand in the presidential palace, you can shake hands with presidents of one of the most celebrated economies of the world, and still remember that your mother was a housekeeper. So there's nothing which is more of a driving force than that desire that I shall never go back to a dungeon which was enveloped with poverty again. I also think that the ability to be within reaching grasp of opportunities. Opportunities do not land up. You have to somewhere lead your life to positions where new arenas of engagement come to you. And for that you have to be sans ego. Deepshika and the way she paid homage to me today was great for my ego, but I think that I also have a deep sense of reality. Thank you. Reality that there will come a time where I will have no opportunities either to be feted or to have a conversation or to be in the same room as these people who sit before me today. So to leap at every opportunity given so that you can lead a different aspect of life, I think that is what keeps me going.
But despite the fact that you became a successful television star, despite the fact that you had scripts written for you, you went out and you had the longest run at the top billed actor in the television world. What pushed you towards your political career as it began?
I was the USAID ambassador to India for the WHO program on ORS. Mishra ji has served our health sector well for almost a decade. The ORS with zinc that you see in our country today, I had the privilege of introducing it when I was 24 years old to our country. And in my 2 years of working with USAID and WHO, I recognized that though I will contribute through social organizations on issues of health, on issues of building better prospects economically for various communities, the best thing I could do was to become a policy writer myself if I wanted to bring a tectonic shift in how policies are administered or people are viewed. And that is why I fought my first election when I was 27 years old from Chandni Chowk. I got into politics actively after I finished my service as the USAID ambassador to India, which was at the age of 26. 27, I fought my election. I was a minister
At 38.
at 37, and I was in parliament at around 35, 34, yeah.
You were the youngest cabinet minister, but let me...
I still am.
Okay, you still are the youngest cabinet minister, and you're younger than some contenders you've defeated in your constituency.
Yes.
And considering I promised myself we will not stray into the political arena, I still want to come back to achievements. I want to ask you, on the personal level, when you became a parliamentarian or when you were fighting the Chandni Chowk elections, did you ever believe that you were the sacrificial lamb because you were not going to win Chandni Chowk at that time?
I had 22 days to fight that election. I had 23 days to fight Amethi the first time I fought it. So the timelines were almost similar. But I think when you choose to fight, it is a choice you make. I have never lived in a state of victimhood. And I believe that for me at 27 to fight an election, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji was Prime Minister, I have served in the BJP at least 5 times in the National Executive with tall leaders like Mr. Vajpayee, Mr. Advani, with Rajnath Singh ji, with Venkaiah Naidu, with Sumitra Mahajan, with Sushma Swaraj, with Arun Jaitley. And I think that in the year around 2007, 2008, I became the political prabhari for Goa. And I had the privilege of helping come into a position of service, a gentleman called Manohar Parrikar. So I'm grateful that I've had an opportunity to contribute to Indian polity from that perspective. I do not, like I said, live in a state of victimhood. When I was given a Methi, even then they considered who's the best candidate possible from the BJP. In 2014, when I went back to fight in 2019, it was not again with the sense of, oh my God, am I going again into the abyss yet again to be sacrificed? I'm very conscious of the choices I make, and I know of the consequences.
So in 2019, when were you confident that you would win that election?
Yes.
You were?
I said it in 14 that I'll win 19. If you look back and you look at all my interviews, I said I have had only 23 days to fight this one, the next one I'm winning.
And?
Prophetic, but I did.
So you, वो कहते हैं कि काली ज़बान एक बार कह दिया तो कह दिया.
You almost make me sound like Salman Khan. एक बार कह दिया तो अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनी. No, not that. I think that politics is not a happenstance. It, as somebody who may have served in the armed forces will tell you, everything is a part of a strategy, how you build a particular unit. And you build enough in the armory to fight a better fight the next time.
So 24.
Absolutely,
24?
as
Are we
Pandey
betting on
said
it?
in the bag.
They're rooting for you, but are you winning it?
Amethi, yes.
Yes.
Can you imagine a constituency where somebody said in 2014, Smriti, who, to a constituency that in 5 years you managed to win. And by the way, I won that seat with more votes ever polled. Even the Gandhi family didn't get the amount of votes that I got in 5 decades of being there. So it is not as if it just fell in my lap. It was a lot of hard work. And in terms of 24, I think what may give you a cause for reflection is that in 2019 and 2014, if you do a comparative, when I went to fight the election, 60% polling booths, I couldn't put up one table, let alone an individual to help me get citizens together to vote. By 2019, there are 2,000 polling booths. I had 2,000 people standing there helping people. By 2022, when the assembly elections came, I had 20,000 people standing at those very booths. And out of the 5 assembly segments, Congress lost its deposit in 4 assembly segments. Congress party in 2019 had polled close to 4,20,000 votes. By 2022, they were down to 1,20,000 votes, which is 3 lakh votes support gone in just a matter of 2 years. Today, I have 60,000 people on the ground.
And anti-incumbency?
And people are not declaring whether they will fight from Amethi.
These people, can you please name them?
The Gandhi family is actually never... imagine the narrative. The headlines used to be, who will come and fight the Gandhis? Now the headline is, who will come and fight Amethi?
Who
And
will come and
Gandhis aren't
fight
speaking.
against Smriti?
Who will come and fight Amethi? But the Gandhis aren't speaking. That silence speaks volumes.
Who would you really want to take on? Gandhi who?
No,
The
I think
person
that
who said Gandhi who?
I think that we are not a part of a political coliseum where people are coming dressed as political gladiators trying to take any facet of political pedigree on. I have built Amethi with a lot of affection. Today, just a few days from now, the Coca-Cola factory will open in Amethi. AK-203 assault rifles that are supplied now to the Indian Army as an Indo-Russian joint venture is now operational in Amethi. We have opened in the past, just last month, I opened around 70 factories there. So this is a labor of love. And for me, I've already proven my point. Never in the history of our country did the Congress sitting president lose, that too from their own home seat. Been there, done that. So whoever comes to fight is surely not the Congress president.
Well, at least a big round of applause for the guts, the chutzpah, and just the plain speak that Smriti Irani is so well known for. Smriti, let me ask you about the story on the inside. On the outside, you've made your point to the Congress party, you've made your point to the people of this country. On the inside, what is it like to be a woman minister? Is there complete equality as far as the gender is concerned within your party, within your cabinet? You know, are people patronizing towards women in the workplace? And it happens in many workspaces. How does it work in politics?
I've been a part of 2 professional arenas which are known to be misogynistic, media and politics. And I've never encountered somebody who has shamed me for my gender. For the lack of a better engagement, let's say Mr. Pandey, he would rap me as a senior on my knuckles because I'm bad at work, but not because I'm a woman. So I think that from my experience, and I've had 2.5 decades of experience in Indian media, in advertising, in television, in film, in theatre, and in news. So I'm one of the rare people who's had experiences across 5 segments of media. And like I said, you could be rapped on the knuckles for bad inputs. You could be rapped on the knuckles for being not disciplined at your job. You can be rapped on your knuckles for just plainly not being consistent in your effort. But I've never, and it's not as if I parachuted into the media industry. I was a nobody. So even when you're in the trenches, I have never felt, and 2.5 decades ago, there was not such public consciousness about gender and equity. So in my 2.5 decade experience in media, I've never had that opportunity of being sidelined or diminished, harassed because I was a woman. Insofar as politics goes, the same. I think the only difference is, you spoke this evening about trolls and social media and the attacks. The opposition thinks that the way to possibly get me to defocus from my work is by sexualizing my work and slander around me. They don't know I care 2 hoots. I think that if you diminish a woman's stature or contribution by sexualizing her, I think people then possibly don't understand the kind of material I'm made of. I would rather be taken down for, let's say, a policy initiative. I'd rather be taken down for bad intent. But to just diminish me as a human being by using my gender to possibly cast a stone on me, I think that is a very juvenile way of doing politics.
Smriti, you know, does it never affect you? After all, you're a human being. But
it doesn't.
It just doesn't.
No, try being poor. That beats anything in the world.
And ये स्मृति ईरानी इतना attitude कहाँ से लाती है जो लोग कहते हैं?
कौन सा attitude?
ये जो attitude के I'm unfazed and I'll take you on and...
But I don't understand that why should unfazed be looked upon as an attitude? I think, yes, there might be a presumption that I may grovel and seek refuge of people. In fact, as Minister HRD, a very celebrated scientist once looked at me and said, you should lean on me a little bit more. And he's a very, very well-known scientist. If I name him today, there'll be headlines tomorrow morning. And
well, I'm at least not allergic to headlines in the morning or maybe even at night. So please go on.
So I just looked at the gentleman and I was like...
Okay, this one is for another Frankly Speaking?
Maybe. I've had an individual walk up to me in my office when I was Minister Education and sit across the table from me and say that, you know, you should come and visit my university. And I said, and why is that, sir? He says, well, people say that you're not intellectually very, very refined. But when you stand next to me in my university, people will sing phrases as to how intellectually developed you are. I said, next time I want to be intellectually developed, I shall definitely visit your premises. But the fact that it had nothing to do with the premise that I was a woman. I think it also is a tenacity people don't expect of you when you're 37. For them, it is an affront that somebody who's a nobody is sitting in front of me and gets to write the rules and cracks the whip when rules are broken. So I think it's the human tendency to take umbrage to that tenacity, to not only make rules, but implement them hard and take no prisoners.
But Smriti Irani कभी nervous ही नहीं होती, कभी hurt नहीं होती, कभी उसे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. How does that happen?
I have no idea. I think you should do the rounds as a struggling actor when you're rejected every day in TV studios and ad studios. And that gives you a very strong spine. I mean, this is not to do with Mr. Pandey, but I was rejected for a pressure cooker ad. And I'm just...
Mr. Pandey, I think the punches are not being held back as far as you are concerned.
No, there are no punches to him. Sir, who had the Prestige ka account? Somebody had the Prestige ka, not you, I know. Sir, somebody had the Prestige pressure cooker ka account. I go and I do this. I had my last $200 in my pocket at famous studio Mahalakshmi. I go there and I give this audition. And this is the 5th round of the audition because they say that you're in the top 3 and you're desperate for that job because that job gives you $10,000. Now, that's more money than you'll be possibly spending this evening at this hotel. And I'm like desperate for that paycheck. And they sit me down, they say, the last 2. And then they sit me down. They were kind enough to say, you just don't look like that Indian housewife. So you're not getting the ad. I said, fine. And next week, I'll land up Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahuti. So I think the irony just kills itself.
Okay, so one week you are not good enough for a pressure cooker ad because you're not good housewife material, and then you are the
next
bahu,
week you become
and then the saas of the whole country for God knows how many years.
That's what I'm saying. So if I had allowed that one interview to break me as a human being that, oh, I'm not good enough, then maybe the next week when I had to go and audition, I would seriously not be able to do my best. So that is why, because I've had these cycles, I mean, today we talk about menstruation and menstrual cycles. 2.5 decades ago, a model who did a menstruation-based ad, it was a death knell for your career, especially if you're beginning. I was a Miss India finalist, I don't look like it today, in 1998. And one of the first jobs I could get was for Whisper, the sanitary pad. That was a killer for your career. And I remember I got $5,000 for it. And, but for me, they said the job was good, well-paying, and it was a product that I genuinely believed in. That yes, I think this is something that young women should be spoken to about. So there have been times when I've taken chances. I was pregnant with my first child. I had a home loan of 25 lakh rupees. My first home that we had bought, we had 15,000 in the bank. And I had somebody walk up to me and say, can you do a pan masala ad? And they were going to pay me exactly 10 times more than what I owed the bank. And I said no. And every colleague of mine said, you've lost your mind. I said, no, because if I go into families every night through my show, I can't have the kids who watch me on TV suddenly see me selling pan masala. So there are choices that you make. Those choices, they have consequences sometimes that you bear personally. But at least you're happy that you're conscientiously making those choices and you stick by that.
Amazing, amazing anecdotes there. But Smriti Irani, where from here? Another election and then another and then another. And the way, Amrit Kal goes on till 2047, मुझे नहीं लगता आप किसी और को chance दे रहे हैं आने का.
That you're talking about Modi.
No, what is it for Smriti?
I will just say that you never know where life takes you. I mean, nobody knew when I was
here. But you said you strategize everything.
when I was here waiting for my mom to finish her night shift, I didn't know I'll sit here someday. I'll only say this, I don't know what life brings me, but life will never leave me with a broken spine. And life will never leave me with regrets. I don't know what happens 24, post 24. But I know this, that there's much of life yet to be lived. Who knows, I may go back to the pressure cooker.
Pandeyji, that's a nudge to you, but any advice? Because
with Pandeyji, it will be a pleasure to serve behind the camera. I think that one of my greatest joys have been in creation, in being a part of a team of people that bring something to life for just half an hour, 2 minutes, and it's forgotten. But the joy, the impact of that 1 minute, 2 minutes, or that one line, as Pandeyji was saying today, is something that gives you that fuel, that energy that keeps you going for life. So I believe that whatever is left of my life will be dedicating to creating new opportunities for myself and for people I love. That much I can guarantee.
Amazing. Any advice for all the leaders here, whether in the field of business, bureaucracy, even media?
No.
Something
Because all of them are here today because they didn't heed to advice and they carved their own niche for themselves. All of them must have been advised not to do exactly what they did to be where they are today. And they didn't pay any heed to that advice. So I will just say, keep listening to yourself, you know better.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Ms. Smriti Irani.